Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about playing in the dark, whiteness, and the literary imagination. This is by Toni Morrison. Now, before I go into some analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, this work by Toni Morrison, it first began as a lecture, a three-part lecture from Harvard, and she later turns it into a book um, of 90 pages or so. And basically, she's talking about how in literature, you don't really see, in a lot of 19th century late literature, you don't really see the authentic representation of Africans or African Americans. You really see a mythology of Black people that authors will use to define themselves, which is a very interesting claim. And yes, you do see stereotypes and you do see caricatures of Black people in all types of literature. Um, you know, it's not every day you see an authentic Black person with their own way of thinking and their own characteristics. A lot of times, even today in modern media, in a lot of books, you'll see the gangster, the cool Black guy, kind of like these generalized group characters that you can just, you know, um, wash and repeat, basically. Um, but you do see other characters of other races that have personality, that have character, that are not flat, that are not the generic idea or representation of what Black people are. And so it's kind of like an investigation on, well, what does it mean? What does this mean? What does it say about race? That novels and books, and she doesn't talk about media, but now in the modern day, if we're looking at 2024, we can say that in media, there's always these caricatures of what it means to be Black. And well, I mean, we can't be hypocrites here. There are some stereotypes that a lot of Black people do fall into, that it is a generalization that you do see a lot in the Black community. But she's also saying here that, well, there's also uniqueness. I mean, a lot of media um, will portray, the struggling Black person, the guy who had to make it from the bottom and now he's here, the guy who had a poor childhood and living off of government subsidies, and now they've made it. But why can't we just have a middle class Black family that just had a normal 9 to 5 life? You don't really see that much in literature. I mean, on one hand, I do have to say that that's probably not that interesting of a book. Like, nobody will probably read that because I guess we don't read books for normal life. It can't just be like dad went to work and he was a good dad and he loved us. Like that, I mean, yeah, you can't really sell books with that. So in terms of analysis, that's what I kind of have to say. It's like a lot of books do have to fall into these generalizations because, well, if we're looking at from a not just we're gonna write because we feel like writing. If you want to sell things, you have to give people something that's dark, something that's enticing, something that pushes them to read. In modern media, I think we fall into these stereotypes because it sells. Um, but at the same time, she is right though. There is a mythology of, well, this is the definition of what it means to be Black. And, well, you can't just describe, you know, billions of people in just one way, because black people, I mean, they're all over the world, in Africa, in Europe, and they're all over the world, the Caribbean. I mean, black people have moved around the entire planet, so you can't just say, well, this is the definition of blackness, because I mean, there's so much black people in this world. I mean, because it's not just African Americans, it's Africans. I mean, we're taking in all of Africa here. That's a billion people alone. So you can't just group them into one uh, thing and say, well, this is the definition of blackness. So she does have a point here, and she goes into it, the caricatures of what authors have done, how they've built up white characters and how they've built up black characters, how sometimes they miss the authentic version of black people, and how sometimes they build up white characters at the cost of black characters. It's an interesting way to look at literature, and she's kind of like pointing like we need to pay attention to this, so that, well, this is our literature doesn't just exclude the real stories of black characters, and we actually know that these beings, that these people, um, are not just wash and repeat, that they do have unique stories, and that, one individual black woman or black man can stand apart from the crowd and have an individual story that we've never heard before. So it is a work that does push you to think about these things, because when you're reading a good book that you love, you're not really thinking about how the representation of different races are being represented within that book. This is a great work by Toni Morrison here in terms of looking at specific matters such as this. But that's all I had to say about this work. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.